No. Hello guys and welcome back to this new video. Today we are going to talk about taxes, and we're not going to talk about that in a very useful way, but we're going to understand what were the most bizarre taxes imposed on the people in history. And so we are going to start right now. There is nothing certain in the world except for death and taxes, said Benjamin Franklin. The saying is still very, very current. Also, because taxes yesterday as today are indispensable to run the state machinery and guarantee services to citizens. In some countries more services than in others, but anyway, that's a different point. The point is that sometimes the rulers got carried away. So much so that over the centuries there have been examples of truly bizarre and eccentric taxes. If, guys, you have missed it, in the episode on toilet paper we have discussed how in the US there is a tax. I don't know if there still is this tax or not really, but there was a tax at a certain point in time during the Bill Clinton administration where the citizens would pay 6 cents on toilet paper. And so everything that was not food was, or maybe is, taxed. But let's start from way back. Chapter number 1, the Roman way. For each conquered territory, for example, Rome demanded the payment of an exorbitant tribute, unless its inhabitants surrendered peacefully. But that wasn't all. During his moralizing work, Augustus, 27 before Christ and 14 after Christ, introduced a tax on senators who had not yet married, in order to safeguard the institution of the family. The Emperor Vespasian, more than half a century later, came up with another brilliant idea. That was a urine tax, collected and used by tenors in public baths. We have discussed, indeed, in our previous episode on beauty, how much urine was actually being used for all sorts of treatment, including treatment to whitening the teeth. Therefore, it makes somewhat sense. And we also have said in that episode, if you guys remember, that the Portuguese urine was apparently the best one. So, they had to pay for transportation and things like that, I guess. Chapter number 2, Middle Ages. With the development of the feudal system, Europe ended up paying taxes on literally everything at the discretion and pleasure of lords and feudal lords. The peasants paid duties to cut grass and wood, to water the animals, or draw water from sources, to collect acorns and fruit, and cross bridges. They even paid fishing for frogs in ponds, or for fish in salt or fresh water, as well as for stopping on the banks of a river or of a lake. However, the most substantial income came through the so-called focatico, the tax on the home that each family owned to cook and forge tools. And there was another tax called the stuffed one, which was that which the whole community paid based on the agricultural products that they owned. Chapter number 3, Widow, not so much cheerful. One of the most curious taxes was introduced by Spain in the 14th century, in the midst of the wars between Spaniards and Muslims for the conquest of the Iberian Peninsula. At that time, widows were required to pay a tax of 2 maravedis, about 35 euros, which at the time must have been massive in terms of quantity of money. And that was a tax to be paid if they decided to remarry within the first 12 months after the death of their husband. Finally, once remarried, they risked being sold as a servant with the new spouse if by chance it was discovered that the first husband was still alive. Men were exempt from the second marriage tax. And simply like that, we have a case of discrimination against women. Same old, same old. Alright, chapter number 4. Dear Wig, how much do you cost me? Between the 17th and 18th century, the wig was the queen of the look in Italy, France, and England, until Prime Minister William Pitt in 1795 decided to impose a tax on wheat powder, both for the scarcity of the flour with which it was produced and for the need to raise money. Leading the protest against this tax was the Duke of Bedford, who abandoned the wig for a more natural hairstyle, with a side parting fixed by hair wax, and invited his noble friends to do the same. Soon wigs thus disappeared from common use to remain relegated only to some court circles or to the courts. Chapter number 5. In the cold and in the dark. In 18th century Poland, the most hated tax was that on house fireplaces, essential for surviving the cold of the East. Indeed, the inhabitants of cities and countrysides paid a certain amount of money for each flue they owned. Many literally closed the chimneys, thus ending up filling the houses with smoke, and by multiplying the cases of carbon monoxide poisoning and damage inside buildings. In the same years, the tax on doors and windows appeared in Europe. The greater the amount of light and air that entered the house, the higher the amount to be paid. The reaction of the taxpayers was immediate, and in every part of Europe they began to brick up the less useful windows. Chapter number 6. Bachelors and Bearded. The Russian Tsar Peter the Great, 1672-1725, invited his officers and court employees to shave off their beards, emblem of the Orthodox culture. On the contrary, he imposed a tax on anyone who continued to be bearded. As a receipt for the payment, a copper token was given to always carry with you. Anyone found without it would have suffered the immediate cut of the beard. Celibates under the fascist dictatorship fared no better than bearded Russians. In Italy, starting from 1927, the famous tax on celibacy was instituted. The ideology of the regime, indeed, exalted marriage and a large offspring as a prerequisite for the greatness of the nation. With that being said, that is it from us for this time, so we'll talk some more next time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment below, let me know your thoughts, and I thank you all for the support you have shown. I deeply appreciate that, and that goes straight to my heart. And guys, we'll talk some more next time. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you can receive every new update, and don't forget to comment because I really am interested in your thoughts. So we'll talk some more next time. Bye.